Hello everyone, Melody here, mom of 4 in our blended family of 6. Welcome to Homeschool Happy Hour. Today we are going to talk about keeping up with the Joneses. Are you able to do that? Because I definitely give up. Before we go any further, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and follow along as we talk about all things homeschool, homeschool life, curriculum, just all the things that go into being a homeschooler. We specifically are secular homeschoolers, and I just got a new cat who is putting his paws under the door trying to join us because he wants to participate. Let's let him in. Okay. If you missed the last video, this is Max. He just got fixed yesterday and he's feeling spicy today and naughty, and he wants to make noise. So if I bring him in the room, I don't know if you can hear him scratching, then he makes noise. If I kick him out of the room, then he makes noise. Who knew that bringing cats into the house would just add one more thing for me to try and manage in order to do a video? I should have known that. Max, come on. Anyway, today we are talking about keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know if you've heard that phrase, Max, before, but basically, it just means trying to keep up with what everyone else around you is doing, trying to make sure you are doing what they say you should be doing, and just being on top of all the things. Now, some of us are pretty good at appearing to be on top of all the things. Some of us don't even bother putting up a front because we're not on top of all the things, and we don't care who knows that we are not. And I think it's important to remember that nobody is. Nobody's on top of all the things. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as homeschool parents to make sure that everything with our kids is going as it should be, making sure that our kids have the resources and the support and the time that they need to do all the things. And so we have channels like this channel that are talking about, like, how do we support our kids and how do we make sure they have the right curriculum, and how do we understand their learning style, and how are we doing everything we need to be doing for our child. But I think sometimes we forget that we also need to be asking, how are we supporting ourselves as the homeschool teacher, as the homeschool mom? How are we making sure that we are getting the things that we need for ourselves? And I know, there's a lot of push for self-care for moms. For myself, I bought myself kittens. I didn't really buy them. They were free. But anyway, I got myself kittens. I'm calling them my therapy kittens because mama needed some therapy, and free kittens were a lot cheaper than actual therapy. If you know, you know. Anyway, being able to take the time to exercise and eat right and just have a minute to ourselves, to invest in the things that we enjoy for ourselves, to invest in further education, because honestly, if you're homeschooling, you're constantly learning alongside your kids, but you're also trying to learn ahead of them a little bit too, because they're planning for next year, which, by the way, make sure you stick around because I do have next year's plans coming up really soon. But I wanted to put a video out there to say, if you're not getting it all done, who cares? I'm not getting it all done. I don't know if you've noticed on my channel, I have not been getting videos up like I want to get up. I was doing like a short and then a regular video every week. I'm not able to do that. I'm trying to manage things that have been going on in my world. I'm trying to manage my health, physical health, my mental health, and that takes time too. And so I've kind of had to set aside doing some videos. That has really been an emotional struggle for me because I really wanted to do this. And then when I set goals for myself, such as getting one video out a week, then when I fall short of those goals, it just makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this is one more thing. It's one more thing that I have failed at, because that is what I do, is fail at all the things. And then you get into that spiraling thought process of all the ways that you're falling short. And I really just have to reframe that for myself. And I know I'm not the only one, where I just have to be like, I'm not failing at anything. These videos were intended to be a positive outlet for me, a positive hobby for me. And if in this moment creating them is not positive, it's not bringing joy, and it's not helping with our day-to-day, then it's okay to set that aside for a minute and just spend time with my therapy cats. It's okay to sit down and read a book that has nothing to do with homeschooling. It could just be a book I want to read because I want to read it for no other reason than I enjoy it. And so I personally have a really hard time setting aside time for things like that. I'm pretty good about setting aside time for physical activity and exercise. I'm slightly less, but moderately good at making sure that I'm making good food choices. And I'd like to think that I'm prioritize my family, and so that I get all of their needs met and all the kids' needs met. And then I'm working part-time, so I'm getting that taken care of. But I really am not good at doing things that I want to do, such as reading a book or watching a movie or something like that, that's just for me, without feeling intensely guilty, which is really not healthy. So I'm working on that. And part of working on that means there's only so many hours in the day, and I might have to set aside some things in order to do other things, even if those things don't serve anyone. It serves me, and that's acceptable. Then I hear about this homeschool group who's doing this great activity, or these other homeschool kids who are involved in a debate club, and then that questioning starts going like, oh, but my kids aren't doing those things, and what are we missing, and am I falling short? And I'm just, I gotta breathe that in and just let it back out. Because if you're showing up with the best you have on most days, and you're showing up on some days with less than your best, then that's really just a sign that you're human. That's okay. We don't have to be perfect every single day. I know we have a tendency to then compare, like, oh man, if I didn't do things just right, then really are my kids better here homeschooling? Or maybe this is a sign that I need to put them in public school where they would get what they needed every day. But that's not realistic. That's not the reality. Even a classroom teacher in the elementary school or high school levels, they're not perfect every day. You know, they show up with their best most days, and then some days they don't. And some days you have other kids in the classroom that are having a really hard time, and the learning experience gets derailed a little bit, and that's just the nature of life. So get out of the comparison trap. Don't compare yourself to the public school. Don't compare yourself to the homeschool family down the street. It's all about your own priorities. Maybe another homeschool family really is into art, and they do creative things together with their kids every week. I don't. I really like having a clean house. So our family manages the home and we keep our space really tidy. That's a priority for us, but that priority takes time. Is that priority more or less important than someone else's? No, it's not. But that's how we like our home to be. And I need to make an understanding that having a priority of having a really clean home, having a priority of spending time every day doing fitness and being physically active, or having a priority of academics, all of those things, those priorities are no more or less important than anyone else's. If somebody else has a priority of spending time outdoors and of gardening and of doing creative works, then they might not have as much time to do the house and the fitness and the academics as we do in our home. But that's a beautiful thing about homeschooling, is that it's going to work out. Every family is going to be different. Every kid is going to learn differently. You're going to have different outcomes from that. And that, I think, will lend to the beauty of variety, because variety is the spice of life, right? We want our children to grow up to add variety to the world, not just to be little cookie cutter kids. So I think that's it. I'm babbling now. I've been distracted by this adorable cat. Is he not just so cute? He's still just a baby. He's only 6 months old. And his sister is somewhere in the house. And she's like half his size. So she's cranky because she just got fixed too. So she's kind of mad at the world right now. But anyway, keeping up with the Joneses. Don't do it. Don't bother with it. Don't waste your time with it. Do what works for your family. If that means using a curriculum and being heavily academic and progressing grades and all of that, then great, do it. If that means setting aside the academics and learning hands-on and being outdoors, do it. You do you, celebrate who you are, enjoy who you are, and just forget what anyone else is doing because they're not you. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. And I will catch you next time.